We can start, right?
Yes, sir, sure.
Okay, thank you. Hello all, I'm Pushkar. Mo Pushkar, CIUD ko Executive Director, Center for Integrated Urban Development ko, and we have a program Urban Dabali भन्ने program छ हाम्रो जुन चाहिँ हामीले एउटा urban issues हरूलाई लिएर sustainable urban प्रोसेसहरु चाहिँ कसरी हुन सक्छ भनेर डिस्कसन गर्नको लागि सुरु गरेको एउटा प्रोग्राम हो. So welcome everyone. Before I start, let me just give you a little bit introduction of Urban Dabali. Urban Dabali चाहिँ we run through two approaches to address the urban issues. One is advocate in favor of sustainable urban development at levels of governance. And the second one is to facilitate in urban service delivery to most needy population through community participation. What exactly are the objectives of Urban Dabali? Let me just say a few things about this. Urban Dabali is a platform to provide a platform for urban stakeholders to learn, share, and disseminate knowledge on various contemporary urban issues that help in the policy advocacy and policy influence. And our specific objectives of Urban Dabali are to provide a forum for urban stakeholders for the knowledge sharing and dissemination. And second one is explore relevant urban issues in the favor of human security. And the third one is advocate urban citizens' right and human security issues and influence policy disclosure. And the fourth one, of course, is to support capacity building of stakeholders. अब आजको प्रोग्रामको बारेमा let me just say a few things to run this program, to run this Urban Dabali को monthly interaction programहरू Center for Integrated Urban Development CIUD partners with various organizations to run this webinar program, which is being organized by CIUD in partnership with UN Habitat and in Nepal Research and Education Network NREN, Info, Lumanti, UMS, and we also partner with the Institute of Engineering and Nepal Engineers Association. So those are the partners of Urban Dabali program. And for today's program, which is being conducted by Professor Dr. Bijaya Krishna Shrestha, a little bit of his background that he will be talking about today. Bijay ji has been associated with the urban design and conservation related practices for more than 25 years. Professor Shrestha has worked as an architect for the government of Nepal, researcher for the United Nations Center for Regional Development, worked for Asian Development Bank, UN Habitat, UNICEF. He is currently working as freelance consultant and also teaching as a visiting faculty in Khwopa Engineering College. So having said that, so he will be talking about earthquake reconstruction in urban areas of Nepal today. So I will stop my introduction here, and I will ask Professor Bijaya Krishna Shrestha to start his presentation. Thank you.
Yes, sir, you are right. Okay, thank you, Pushkarji. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank the UNREN CIUD for giving me this opportunity to share my experience on post-earthquake housing reconstruction in urban areas of Nepal. I will be talking very briefly, focusing on the main issues, basically three parts. First, I will talk about what is the most important issues for post-earthquake housing reconstruction. Second, after the 3 years of the earthquake, some reconstruction works are going on with support from various agencies. I'm going to review some of them. And the last part is to find out some of the best practices and weaknesses before proposing some key policy and solutions. So I'll be talking about 40 minutes only. I want to spend more time on your suggestion, discussion, and debate because this is an issue actually. It's a very complex and complicated issue. There are many issues and problems that are yet to be solved. Quickly going through the Gorkha earthquake that took place on 25th April 2015. If you see the impact of the earthquake, the mostly impacted earthquake is on the social sector, 58% of the whole total impact. And among the social sector, the housing is the most affected. 86% of the social sectors covers the housing. So just after the earthquake, based on PDNA, around 5 lakh houses were damaged. But if you see down the total number of eligible households for reconstruction, it has reached 8 lakhs. And so far, more than 7 lakh of the household have already made agreement, at least the first agreement. But again, on the other part, you can see only slightly greater than 2 lakh of the household received the third installment. So this data clearly shows that actually there are some gaps, some weaknesses on the reconstruction part. On the right side of the slide, actually, if you see the PDNA report, actually, it has framed out the framework for reconstruction. That framework has covered many, many issues, including gender, this capacity building, connecting with this tourism promotion, conservations, and many other things. So, which is very good. So, for today's presentation, basically focusing on housing or shelter, I have taken some important issues only, 4 different issues I have taken for the analysis. So number one, when we are talking about housing reconstruction, the most important part is the spatial linkages, urban form, settlement plan itself. Their linkage with infrastructure, public open spaces, including community identity. And the second important aspect is after the earthquake, for the post-earthquake reconstruction, we need to rebuild safer and resilient buildings as well as communities. And the third part, we are talking about not single houses, we are talking about lakhs of houses. So the process, the model we propose must be cost effective. And the last one, even after 3 years of the earthquake, many of the victims are staying in temporary shelter. So the system, the proposal, the model of reconstruction must be fast delivery. So in addition to this, when we are talking about shelter, actually, we also need to analyze linkage with livelihood, linkage with infrastructure development, and also the institutional mechanism. How do you may have a good plan, but that is not adequate. You need to implement them effectively. So the question of legal and institutional framework will come automatically. So at present, maybe because of many reasons, actually, this issue of post-earthquake reconstruction has got inadequate attention. Maybe because of different levels of elections. Nowadays, we talk mega structures like satellite towns and smart cities, railway linkage with India and China, outer ring road, and many other fast-track projects. But post-earthquake reconstruction is very, very important because it's related with death and life. Post-earthquake is also an opportunity to rectify the past mistakes as well as to address some of the needs of the surrounding areas. So I will be basically talking about 2 case studies, one done by Caritas Nepal. This NGO has been involved in 2 places, one in Kadre, Baltali area, which is now, earlier it was a PDC, but now it becomes a municipality, ward number 11 of Khwopa municipality. Another area is Bulung, that is still PDC. Nowadays they call it Gaon Palika, is in the Dolakha area. So for the case of Kathmandu, I am talking about Ilache reconstruction project, which is considered as comparatively better than other types of reconstruction works. If you compare these two reconstruction process, one in Kathmandu Valley and other in the outside of the valley, you'll find some differences. In the process, as a result, the last impact and the product is also different. For the case of this Caritas Nepal, actually, what they did is, because for any type of reconstruction work, there will be different phases. First is the preparation phase. In this phase, actually, basically the government agencies, in case of Nepal National Reconstruction Authority, was basically involved. The second phase is the planning and design phase. In this phase, other agencies, like the academic institutions, NGOs, they can also participate. And the third phase, and the most important part, is the approval and the fund disbursement. That is the crucial part. And the last part is the reconstruction and supervision part. For the case of Caritas Nepal, it followed National Reconstruction Authority's guidelines and policies. It involved in Dolaka and Kabwe from the planning and design phase only. The government of Nepal has already prepared the model houses for the villages. It followed the same houses. But what it did is actually, it did a sort of agreement with UNRA and the local BDC or municipalities. So this three-party agreement, actually, they allowed to disperse 3 lakhs of government grant through Caritas Nepal. They won't give the cash. They will distribute as per government's guidelines and will send to the bank account of each household. So this is one crucial point. They did the agreement. In addition to that, actually, they also mobilized their staffs at the district level, at the ward level, even to the household level. And the third thing is actually what they did is actually they not only supported technical, but they also mobilized their social mobilizers at door-to-door point to support filling up the grant disbursement form and other detailings. So I will go a little bit detail later on. In the case of village here also, there are many other agencies engaged for the reconstruction work. For instance, Japo Samaj, it mobilized around 10,000 of its volunteers. Then there is also some support from Global Friends Tilganga, around 400 million Nepalese rupees. In addition to that, the Maya Foundation is leading the concept of reconstruction, mobilizing the local communities and earthquake affected household. Okay, this is the general data Caritas Nepal is doing for the reconstruction in 3 different districts actually. I'll be talking about the Bulung of Dolaka and Balthali of Kabwe only. If you see the data actually, in Bulung, the number of household is 710. So they have already completed 90% of the reconstruction work. In the case of Balthali, is 53%. So compared to other cases actually, the rate of reconstruction is going fast in this modality. Okay. So what Caritas did is actually, they mobilized, they established their offices in the district and the ward level also. They also formed committee at 3 different levels, PDC or municipal level, then the ward level, even at the toll level also. They also give different type of trainings, like mason trainings, orientation program for the earthquake affected household, demonstration of house, model house, and toilet construction also. This type of activities has, in fact, very positive impact on the reconstruction work. So in addition to that, the staff, especially the technical persons, civil engineer and junior engineer, as well as the social mobilizers, they work in coordination with the government's district office, like UNRA's engineers and DDBC's this project implementation unit office. This is one number of staffs, they are allocated in different levels. In district level, they have one civil engineer as a coordinator. Then at each PDC, they have two technical persons, one junior civil engineers. Four technical persons altogether in each PDC. And they also have a social mobilizers. So altogether, for one district, actually, they have mobilized 21 numbers of technical persons. So they supported the household victims in getting the installation very fast. They went to the household home when the DPC level is finished. Even before that, actually, they went to the victim house and they helped to select them the site, even the design typology. They did the rough cost estimate and also the layout of the house. In addition to that, when the construction is completed up to the DPC level, actually, the technical person and the social mobilizer, they go together to the site, check the things, fill up the application forms, and also coordinate with the ward office of the DPC and the district office of Caritas Nepal, and also the DPC and district office, that is the district level project implementation unit. So in this process, actually, the victims in those two areas, in Balthali and Bulung, actually, they found it very easy. So these are some of the activities they have done in the past. So among those activities, actually, the interesting one is the transportation support, because in the mountain area, transportation is very difficult. So the Caritas Nepal, actually, when there are 4 or 5 persons willing to rebuild the house, actually, they give support of the vehicle transporting this cement, road, and concrete together. Yeah. And another program actually attached with this shelter program is the cash for work. They have spent some small amount of money to improve the small scale of infrastructure. For example, in the photograph you can see they have improved, they have made the steps in this slopey area so that carrying cements, concrete, and even the road will be easy to the construction site. So in this way, actually, the household, the earthquake victims, actually, they will also able to get some money, and it also supports the construction work faster. In some cases, in fact, they have linked this shelter program with other programs, livelihood programs, WAS, and this cash for work program. So in some area, actually, there is a problem of water. So the Caritas Nepal, they managed to get the water. And in some cases, they also purchase a water tank for this. Sorry. Livelihood program actually. So they give livelihood support also. So the earthquake victims actually, they can either get livestock support or they can choose for agriculture also. Now let's quickly review the Kilache reconstruction area supported by my foundation. There are altogether 82 houses. So this Kilache area is located in the historical core area of Lalipup metropolitan city. What is interesting in this program is the financial scheme actually. So they have divided, earlier actually they identified the unit cost of the area. So based on that, actually, one can identify the tentative costs of the housing reconstruction based on square feet area. So what they did is they divided the whole 100% construction cost into 4 different compartments. Each owner, actually, he must pay around 25% in cash. Cash for kind support can be 25%. Volunteer support, they will get through this Japu Samaj, 25%. And also they are thinking through mine financing, the remaining 25%. Another interesting concept for the reconstruction is actually they have tried to develop this reconstruction into heritage tourism. So what they have proposed is The ground floor may be galleries or some commercial activities, restaurant, other things. The first floor, it may be homestay, and the upper two floor, the house owner can use. So it's a very good concept. This homeowner and this gallery, actually, it doesn't work in all the area, but some major around the courtyard, some major routes, it should work. The concept itself is good. And they also come up with not on the elevation of the individual buildings only, but the whole neighborhood area, buildings around the courtyard also. So this type of design, urban design, so it also helps a lot to convince the local people and these earthquake affected communities. So the construction work is going on also here, you can see. So on the left side, actually, there's a very small plot. So you can see just one staircase and the one toilet and the circulation room. So these two cases, they took different approaches. Some of them are common, like the engagement of the community. So if you see the reconstruction outcome, in the case of Baltali, they have completed around 59%. In the case of Bulung Dolakha, the reconstruction work completed is more than 95%. But the case of Pilache, out of 82 houses, so far they have completed 16 houses only. So we can see the differences in the Kathmandu and in the outside the Kathmandu. So from this quick review, so what are the successful part in these two cases? For the case of Caritas, the successful part is, we can say, housing reconstruction is linked with livelihood improvement programs also. So it also linked with cash for works. They also gave extra Nepalese rupees around 50,000 as a transportation expenses, because most of the houses, they are located in the hilly area, so they give extra 50,000 rupees for the earthquake affected family. So in the case of Pilachin area, the interesting part is the mobilization of volunteers by Jaipur Samaj, 10,000 volunteers. So they also prepare some sort of urban design, not plan, but at least the building elevations, so that it will be easy for the people to see how their neighborhood will become after reconstruction. And also the concept of linking reconstruction with heritage tourism, allocating some spaces for this galleries, restaurant, and homestay, and that is very good, you know. Yeah, these are some of the broad level process or some aspects actually which we can consider as a successful. But there are many other weaknesses also. As I mentioned in the framework also, we'll be talking the weaknesses, we'll be analyzing the reconstruction work and its product on the 4 different issues. One is the spatial linkage, the second is the safer building construction, and the third one is the cost effectiveness, and the last one is the fast delivery system. So if you see this diagram, the case of housing in the urban area outside the Kathmandu Valley, though they call it urban area, and they still have a rural character. So it's quite different than houses in the core area. In outside the urban area, the houses actually, they do have a community spaces in front of the houses. Even the housing comprise of not only the house actually, it comprises of this animal shed, toilet, then the outside, the veranda in front, and beyond the veranda, we will have a community spaces. Sometimes these community spaces can be road. In other cases, it can be a private houses, private spaces, private land also. At the back of the house, you can find even a small farmland. So all these elements constitute a shelter or a housing. When we are talking about a reconstruction, we must consider all these elements as a single unit. But that is not, we have found, when we visited these sites, when we talked with earthquake victims and other concerned stakeholders. So reconstruction of buildings. Another issue is especially in Balthali and Bulung, you know. Earlier, before the earthquake, they have a big house. The houses are generally of two big houses, 4 rooms on the ground floor and 4 rooms on the second floor. They have attic floors also. Generally, the rooms are 2.5 story only. So now, almost all the buildings they rebuilt actually. They are single story or maybe attic on the 1 story and attic floor. Most of them are of 2 stories. Some of them are 3, 4, or some of them are 1 story only. But the majority of the building is of 2 story. So that's the problem. If one family is living in one single house before the earthquake, now they need to rebuild 3 houses. They have been rebuilding 3 houses also because those sons who got married, they have enrolled as a earthquake victim also. So the one family actually they are also able to get 3 different houses, 3 different earthquake victims in the name list also. So what is the impact of this? They need to rebuild 3 small 1 and 1 story houses in 3 different locations. When rebuilding the house, actually, they didn't consider this urban design area, public spaces, this socialization space, circulation, and everything. Actually, wherever land is available, they rebuild the house. They rebuild some of them. Actually, they rebuild their houses in the earlier farmland also. So it has 3 different negative implications. One is the destruction of the townscape. Second is the loss of agricultural land. Loss of agricultural land means reduce in family income also. And the third one is the disturbance on the socialization pattern. And the last one is because they are rebuilding houses and the toilets separately. In some cases, those temporary shelter actually they have converted into the this animal shed also. Because of haphazard, this reconstruction and conversion of the earlier temporary shelters and toilets into other uses, actually, the problems of health and hygiene. Because animal shed, toilet, and the kitchen, actually, they should have adequate distance, but that is not found when we visited these sites. So this is the model of the existing house before the earthquake. As I mentioned earlier, most of them are 2.5 story, and they have veranda also. Now we are rebuilding like this type of things. 1 story, either brick and cement mortar, or this stone with mud mortar. So earlier there was a wide gap in front of the buildings, you can see, but now you can see actually it has become a small narrow lane because most of the earthquake victims actually they rebuild their houses in front of for the plot they have. Earlier that area was used for socialization places like this. In some cases they have even converted the new house, 2 rooms house for the animal shed. Because two room area is not adequate even for a single family. So another figure actually I have shown here. The existing earlier one, they have a veranda on the 1st floor, but the newly built housing typology doesn't have any veranda, any socialization space. So this type of, it looks small things, but it will have a lot of negative implication on the longer term. Okay, now we are talking about this safety structure, whether the newly built structures are safe or not. In one way, actually, they are safe because we are following the building code. We are reducing the span. We are reducing the number of stories also. But on the other hand, some of the photographs I have shown you, that 1-story building RCC structure, it was rebuilt at the edge of the mountain. So there was a landslide on the surrounding area. So I don't know how they put the foundation of this. The photograph below actually, the newly constructed this brick-in cement mortar house is attached with the existing stone masonry wall. So I don't know how they put the foundation for that. In the next earthquake, there will be a founding effect. From that way, actually, we can say that is not safe. Even in the case of Pilaching area also, so what they did is actually, earlier there was a single house. So at the time of reconstruction, actually, they are dividing the single property into 2 or 3 based on the number of sons. Because of that, all the newly constructed plots, actually, they become elongated. So what will happen? The base of the building will be very less. You will need to have a cantilever foundation, even you use the reinforcement cement concrete. So the building will be like a fencing, you know. It will have a small base, and then you will go up 4.5 story or up to 45 feet. So in that case, also all the buildings are attached. So in the next earthquake, there will be a vulnerability of pounding effect. So the color photographs diagram I have shown here is, you know, if you rebuild the small pencil-like blocks, then you will have a cantilever foundation in all the cases. So it will become like a raft foundation because the span is gone. There will be a risk of pounding effect. Instead of that, actually, if we use the common walls, if you combine these small plots into one, then we will have a very stable base, and we can also reduce the cost of the foundation. That I will explain later on. Okay, this is again the cost effectiveness I'm talking about. So you can see this small one-room building actually. So it will have just one toilet, one small room, and one staircase. So on the left side, actually, I've seen earlier before the earthquake, it's the case of Pilaching area. It was a single house. In single house, you will have a small wooden staircase. But now, actually, they divided this single plot into 2 houses for the 2 sons. So you can see the 2 houses actually. Around 50% of the space is covered by staircase. So in this case, actually, the earlier proposed actually, when you divide the single house into different floors using staircase, this wide staircase and other things, even you will not have adequate habitable space to accommodate the earlier, before the earthquake period, family members, you know. So the earlier concept using these spaces for these galleries and homestay actually, in reality it doesn't happen, because the available space is not adequate even for the family member. Now talking about the fast delivery systems, because our approach is owner-driven approach. So in owner-driven approach, actually, it's very difficult to achieve the fast reconstruction projects, fast reconstruction process, because each household actually they need to go for the permit, they need to take, they need to plan, they need to make drawings, and they need to hire this contractor or some other works. In the case of Balthali and Bulung, because of Caritas technical support actually. And also one thing, in the case of Bulung and Balthali actually, for the reconstruction work actually, they have adopted a PARMA system. PARMA system is the self-help system for the reconstruction. If your neighbors come to rebuild your houses, then you are also supposed to go to others' house reconstruction. So because of that system also, comparatively compared to the houses of the core area, the single housing units at Balthali and Bulung actually is comparatively easy to reconstruct. So because of that also, the fast reconstruction we can find in the case of Bulung and Balthali. But in the case of Pilaching actually, it's not going on. There are some issues like joint ownership issues, and also the cost of the constructions, and another issue is the building permit systems. If we consider this whole area, 82 areas as a projects, and if we can get a building permit at once, it will be very easy. We can save the time. But the municipalities, the local metropolitan city, actually, they didn't agree with that. So they need to go to get building permit for each individual houses, like in number period. So because of that also, the reconstruction is going comparatively slowly. So all these weaknesses I just mentioned, actually, how we can solve. It is possible to address some of these issues. Actually, this we have tried for the case of Bhaktapur. We did 2 projects after the earthquake. One project is at Tekacho, that is ward number 16. That is again the historical core area of the Bhaktapur. That project was done. It's a JST, Japan Science and Technology projects, done in collaboration with University of Tokyo. And another projects we did at Dashi and JLA, and that was done by master's program in urban design and conservation at Khwopa Engineering College. So what we did in this project is actually we proposed to combine small, tiny, elongated plots into one. And also, if we do that actually, so what is the impact of that? We did that. We did the calculation of the habitable area, like the case of JLA and Dashi. So we took two cases. In one cases, each individual house owner, they will rebuild their houses in their small tiny lines, plots. That is one case. The second case is actually, we try to combine at least 4 small plots into one single house, with common staircase, common circulation, and common foundation. We try to see the differences in those 2 cases. So what we found is, first, there will be a significant increase in habitable space on the ground floor. Compared to the individual house construction in individual plot, combining 4 plots into a single house, you can increase the habitable space 3.87 times on the ground floor. In the case of first floor, is 2.11 times. Again, this increase in the habitable space, actually, that depends on the size and the shape of the plots. Like in the case of Dashi, actually, all the plots are elongated. So in that case, actually, we can see the ground floor increase is 10.37 times. And the first floor increase is 42.18 times. So that's a huge increase of habitable space. So through this system, actually, we are not only getting increased habitable space, we can also significantly reduce the construction cost also, because there will be common foundation, common walls. You don't need extra columns, even for a small span of 8 or 9 feet. And another part is actually you can also conserve the traditional character, because earlier it was a single building, and now it divided into 3 parts. They cannot conserve because the scale and proportion. Even you use a similar type of material, the similar these window patterns and cornices, and even the slope roof actually. The architectural character before the earthquake will be very difficult to retain because of the division of the plot, and because of that there will be a change in scale and proportion. So what we have proposed is like this type, combination of small plots into one. We also did that at Tekacho area also. So this is one actual case actually. So there are 4 different plots. One plot, number 32, it's a very small plot. The width is just 5 feet. That person actually, he cannot rebuild the house as per the new building bylaws, because 5 feet is not adequate even for this case, 2 cases. So what we propose here is, like I said earlier, combination of a plot. But combination of the plot and built as a single house is not a flat system. Because in the historical core area, most of the people, like, they don't want to stay on the ground and first floor because of inadequate light and privacy. So what we did is the common circulation area, all those 4 participants must contribute equally. And the increase in habitable space can be contributed. They can measure based on the percentage of the land area. So by this way, actually, we did a rough calculation also. The construction costs can be reduced by 25%. That's a huge percentage because we'll be reducing a number of these columns, walls, and even the rack foundation also. So we did a workshop also with Thekache also actually. And 3-4%. So it's comparatively easy. In most of the cases, their relatives, their neighbors, they are relatives, you know. So one group was agreed to rebuild as a model, you know. For that, we also tried to get some extra outside money from the University of Tokyo also. But the problem lies on the 2 aspects. One is getting the building permit from the municipalities. When we approached the municipalities, actually, they hesitate to give the building permit for this type of cases because this type of case is not clearly written in the prevailing building bylaw. Only thing. The second thing, they asked us actually, okay, we agreed on your proposal actually. In future, if you want to sell our property, if you want to lease our property, if you want to lease our property to the bank to get some loan, actually, what will happen? So they want the local municipalities or UNRA or some government agencies to clarify on this type of confusing issues. That did not happen. So this remained as a project only. So when we were doing this project, actually, we are not only focusing on the buildings only. Equally important is the infrastructure also, because the whole neighborhood was damaged. In this Tekacho area, actually, there is 2 big courtyards. So we also proposed an integrated infrastructure, at least the water supply line, sewer line, or maybe telephone line, electrical line also. So that each household, they don't need to connect to the main line. So this is the best time to lay out the infrastructure also. And another point, actually, we also propose the present modern day issues like rainwater harvesting, solar system, and other things also. So at the end, actually, so what I want to conclude is, broadly speaking, instead of owner-driven approach, community-based approach is much better in many ways. In fact, in both cases, actually, they have applied a community-driven approach in many aspects only, you know. Like in the case of Bulung area, in 3 household cases, actually, because the household were very old, they don't have kids also. They were not able to participate in the farmer system also. So they were not in a position to rebuild their house, even they get the money. So what the community did is actually, the amount of money, 3,50,000 rupees, other community member, as masons, he took that money on the behalf of him, and he rebuilt, he take the responsibility of rebuilding whole house with that money. So that is the beauty of the community-based approach, so that they don't need to migrate to other places. Like in the case of Pilachi also, because of engagement of these volunteers and earthquake victims also, they were able to rebuild some of their houses. They were able to come consensus with the architectural facade design also. So that is also, if we can apply this for the planning of the area, if not the whole area, we can divide the whole area into different project area. One project area covering 2 courtyards, another maybe 2 courtyards. As I mentioned earlier, if we can integrate those whole planning with infrastructure also, then it will be very easy to preserve the townscape also, as well as the community space, public spaces also. Another point actually what we should consider is focusing on individual house from structure point that doesn't give desirable features, because we are talking about a single building only. But when we went to the site actually, the allocation, the selection of the site for the new construction, attachment of the this brick building with the what you call stone masonry attached, so that is not good. So it has a lot of negative implication on the townscape destruction, social identity, the also lack of integrated infrastructure, and the cost is unnecessarily going high. So the third conclusion message is important part is we need to prepare the urban design plan for the continuation of the past heritage and fulfilling the present day needs of the incorporating integrated infrastructure development. So as I mentioned earlier, this is an opportunity also, because each settlement, they were there for many generations. They have some cultural and social value, so we need to conserve that and also incorporate the present day needs. That potential was lost in the reconstruction process in both cases. And also equally important is the preparation of urban design and architecture design guidelines, not only for the individual buildings, but also equally for the cityscape, public open spaces, including other socialization spaces. So that part is also missing. Then the third part is to collaborate with business entrepreneurs and construction industry also. So with collaboration with these parties, actually, we can significantly reduce the construction costs, and at the same time, we can also maintain the quality also. And the last part, important part, is that though it looks very small, this approval system, provision of bank loan and sale of property in case of sharing house among neighbors. When we propose the combine these plots into one house, this type of issues are still unanswered. So we need to work out on these areas also. I think, thank you very much. So I want to spend more time on discussion on your thoughts and your experience, because this reconstruction work actually is still going very slowly in many parts of the areas. Okay, thank you very much. So any questions?
Thank you, Bijaya sir, for your comprehensive presentations and comparing the different case studies as well. So I'm just reading some comments, and there is some feedbacks from Uddhav Nepal sir, and he is he's saying that the sample designs approved by NRA are not satisfying the needs of agrarian communities. So, may I request Dr. Bijay sir, could you share a little bit more, or you want to talk about this a little bit more?
Say again question.
Yeah, we have the feedback. Actually, that was not the comments, just the feedback saying that the design approved by NRA are not satisfying the needs of agrarian communities. Our rural communities, those are based on agriculture.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point here. Now, the main problem lies over there, because they are not adequate in different ways. First, actually, they do not respond to the special form of the town, special form of the settlement. And the second, the design of individual building. When I'm saying design, actually, I'm not only talking about the architectural character, the facade, outside facade, but equally important is the inside space, linkage of the spaces. As I mentioned earlier, their earlier big houses are 2.5 story, so they do have enough spaces inside for socialization, for for 2-3 generation of a family living together. They have animal shed and toilet outside separately, and they also have farmland either in front of their house or at the back side. All those linkages, they were destroyed by typical house design, which doesn't suit on the site and which do not even fulfill the requirement of any household. So I have seen at Balthali one house with 2 rooms and attics. So on the ground floor, they have 2 rooms without partition. So one space is used for kitchen and dining, other space is used to keep goats and buffaloes. And they used to sleep on the attic floor with what you call this CGI seat. So it's a very unhygienic condition. In summertime, they cannot sleep because of the hot. In winter time, because of the cold. In the rainy season, it's very disturbing. But what we have found is most of the people actually, they rebuild the house not to fulfill their requirements, but to get the 300,000 rupees at the earliest possible. Hello, sir. Hello.
Thank you, Bijaya sir. We have some other questions as well.
Okay.
Hempal, yeah. Can you check the chat sections? Actually, Hempal Shrestha sir has also added questions there, and he is asking: is there any other prominent examples of community houses, community share houses, which share the common infrastructures like the staircase and other such possible common infrastructure?
So you mean the reconstruction of that type of buildings?
Yeah, actually he is asking that is there any other prominent examples of community share or community owned houses which share the common infrastructures like the staircase and other such possible common infrastructure?
Right. Yeah, actually, so what we did for the case of Bhaktapur, 2 projects, they are just proposal only actually. Hello?
Okay, sir, yeah, please go ahead.
What we did is just for the proposal only, but nonetheless, in some other cases, not in the project area, but outside the project area, in the historical core area of Bhaktapur, in some cases actually, we were able to convince the people at least to have this combined foundation and the common wall, not the common staircase and the circulation. We have been successful to achieve up to that only. Instead of rebuilding separate foundation, separate walls in each plot, they agreed. They have rebuilt some buildings with common footage, common foundation, and common wall. So that is also to some extent actually that reduce the cost, and that also give the stability of the building also. But with common staircase and common this circulation area, actually, we are not able to do that. Actually, it's not because the community do not want. Actually, we try to convince at least 1 or 2 communities. Actually, but it's the problem lies on our policy level. Actually, they want to share. Actually, what will happen if they want to sell that property? If they want to put that as a mortgage and get loan from the bank, whether bank will accept that sort of property or not, and that is one thing. The second thing is these municipalities actually, they are not sure because the municipalities actually they don't have this type of provisions actually. So it's very difficult to get a building permit, even they prefer to read as a model case. So that's the problem, I think.
Thank you, sir. I think there is one question from Innovative.
The question that I have is there are 2 parts. Part 1 is what would be the legal ramifications if 2 brothers or siblings
So we are not listening. You will. Could you write on chat?
How do you provide? How do you provide for regular maintenance costs? How do the residents share? Is there some kind of committee or just the daily operations of living of the shared infrastructure?
The sound is not clear. I don't know why.
Sound not clear?
Yeah. May I request you to write your questions on chat?
So can I ask another question?
Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah.
The thing is, apart from all this, what are the challenges that you face while doing that project? I mean, like, apart from the local community, what are the challenges that you are facing right now?
Which project you mean?
I mean, the Bhaktapur one, sir. The one with Japanese science and
Yeah, that we
technology.
did. Yeah, that we did sometime before. That project was completed, so it remains as a project only. No further development work is going on those projects. The challenging part is actually it's very difficult to convince the local people, at the beginning. But we did community consultation at individual level, and we also so. So also actually we do not have much options. There's only two options I think. One option is to rebuild your own house in your own plot. In that case, actually, the habitable space will be dramatically reduced. So some of your family member actually should either go to the street or go to the other place. That's the only reason, right? So we don't know. The second reason, the second option is what we have proposed. That is practical because even nowadays also many people actually they are renting some of their rooms to the others. So two families are living together, sharing the staircase and common space also. So that's not the problem. So among the 32 household, 3 or 4 persons actually they agreed in principle. But the problem is the municipalities actually they did not get adequate assurance from the municipalities. And also from the banking and for selling the property, actually, they are not very much sure, actually. They are very much afraid. Maybe in this type of property, actually, they do not get enough money when they sell their property. So these are the two problems we face. But once we rebuild the house, even in the case of Bulung and Balthali also, what they did is, what Caritas did is, they first rebuilt a model house. So after seeing the model house, many people actually they applied for the first installment and then the second installment. So you need to have some sort of physical construction, to go ahead, I think. So those two projects, they were completed, so they are now as in the project formally. No further works are going on.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions at Kantipur City College?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Questions are how do you take care of regular maintenance costs, painting, cracks, other buildings, etc. Building neighborhoods. Okay, may I answer Dr. Pusan's question? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, please.
Okay. Pusanji has put two questions, very important question. The first question is how do we take care of regular maintenance costs, painting, cracks in buildings, etc. And the second question is legal ramifications of sibling or neighbor issues, mainly when selling properties, inheritance, etc. Yeah, these are two very important questions. So regarding the first question, actually, that's not a big deal, actually, I think. Because their property actually they have in terms of percentage, though the building is single actually, they have their ownership in terms of land, in terms of percentage of the area. So based on that actually they can come up or they can have some sort of a common fund for this painting and these cracks or even for these infrastructures also, So one indirect benefit for municipality is that, if you have this type of joint ownership with single structure, then it's very difficult to avoid building bylaws, They cannot add another floor on the existing buildings, So I think that's not a big deal because many people nowadays, those who are living in the apartment, even in our individual private houses, so many people actually, especially in the city area, they are renting some of their spaces for other families also. That is one thing. The second thing, that is the second question, legal issues. That is very important, and we need to have some sort of clarity on the legal level, from the municipal level, from the banking level also, Without that, actually, it's very difficult to convince the local people. What they have raised, selling the property, what will happen? When they are putting those property as a mortgage to get loan from the bank, what will be the implications? Those are very important aspects. For that, actually, so what I suggest is the local municipalities, either local municipalities or in general the UNRA, they should come up with some sort of policies regarding this part. But we have only two options. One option is to rebuild a small house in a small plot, and another one is to combine, So this combining 2 or 3 plots, actually, this is not an apartment system. If somebody has a big plot, he can rebuild one single house, no problem. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions from different sides? Yeah, we still have some time if you have questions. Pushkar, sir, I'd like to request you for the closing.
Yes.
Okay, before I go into closing, I have one question for Bijayji.
Okay, sure.
So you talked about 4 different ways. One is conservation of soundscape, cost effectiveness, safer housing, community building, and fast delivery.
Right.
Now, my question is related to traditional and core settlement of old core settlement of Kathmandu Valley, like such as Gungumati and Kokna. What do you suggest in terms of reconstruction process of such houses driven by owners? What are some of the weaknesses that you have observed in these traditional settlement in terms of reconstruction process? Because I see that besides Pila Chen's effort, where Maya Foundation has supported, other traditional settlement, I don't think they have started the construction in major scale. So could you please share your view in terms of what are some of the weaknesses and some of the solutions that you suggest?
Okay, thank you very much. It's a very valid, very important question. So what I have presented is just the principle, We need to develop this principle based on the case of maybe Bungmati different, maybe Kokna different. But anyway, so when we are saying combination of small units, small plots actually, it doesn't mean we need to combine all the plots, small plots, Because even in Bungmati also there are some big plots also, enough for a single house also, But the problem is that, when we did the survey, even in Bungmati, in particular also, most of the people actually, they used to, before the earthquake, they used to live in a single house. Now they want to have their own separate house, As we have seen some cases in Philachen also, So that trend is very dangerous. So that will not only destroy the townscape heritage, but it will also create a problems in longer term, Division of the small plots means reduction of habitable space. You don't have habitable space, adequate habitable space now. But you have put 12-inch by 12-inch column, even for the span of 10 or 11 feet. So the earthquake victims actually, they will get 3 lakhs rupees. So after some time, after getting all those money, actually they don't have other options other than adding extra floor on the deck. So even to prevent that also, actually, we need to come up with some solutions, to increase the habitable space. So that also prevents gentrification also. That is one thing. The second thing, for the case of Bungmati, actually, what I suggest is, Bungmati actually, though it's a historical core area, actually, it has its own character, actually. We need to identify what is the local character of Bungmati. If you give the design, for example, say the reconstruction of the houses around Machendabal, very important bal. If you give the site and design of the house to 10 architects, then each of 10 architects, they come up with different solutions. But using the same materials, same elements, this brick exposed facade, this wooden decorated windows, cornices, slope room, My question is, actually, which design solution is the best for the local Bungamati? We don't know, actually. Our design solution is based on the individual architects, planners, or designers' idea, So that's not a good thing. First of all, actually, we are not dealing with a single houses. We are dealing with the whole core area of the Bungmati. We should identify the heritage values of not only building, private building I'm basically talking, but equally important is the public spaces also, different hierarchy of the public spaces. Maybe much in the Bahal more important compared to other Bahal. Once we identify the value, hierarchy of the different public open spaces and maybe infrastructure or the even private buildings, then it will be easy to develop design guidelines, architecture facade, and based on that, actually, we can link that to the incentive package also. Maybe for the case of building around the courtyard of Machendabal, okay, we may need to give more incentive because the private building over there is very important compared to the some buildings around the courtyard in these other areas. That is one thing. Second thing, this planning, special planning should be linked with this what you call this heritage tourism promotion also. Many entrepreneurs working on heritage tourism actually, they might be looking to have some work, this workshop or maybe some cafeteria, but they are not getting enough spaces, because in the courtyard available space is all divided. So this is the best time before making the plan actually, if you can sit down with those entrepreneurs actually. Maybe they may love to get some spaces, wider spaces on the ground floor, as I mentioned, that we can achieve by combining small floors and sharing the staircase also. If that is the case, those business entrepreneurs actually, they can also support, we can lease the area space for maybe 5 years, 2 years, 10 years, they can get some money for the reconstruction at present, which we can use at least for the reconstruction of the skeleton part. And that is very important, The finishing part inside, each household they can do whenever they get money. So I think that is important. And the third part, equally important, is the legal part. That is always the problem. The municipal building permit system. So what I suggest is actually, in the core area, in the case of Bungmati actually, let's divide the whole Bungmati area into 3 or 4 project area based on the character, based on the typology of the area. So those 4 or 5 areas that comprise of many courtyards, many private buildings, including public monuments, consider them as a project area. Design the whole area as a single unit, as a one project, and get the building permit together, If that is the case, then we can also apply for this soft loan, 2% loan from the bank actually, right? If the community is guarantee if the war office and the municipalities also support, then I do not think actually it's a big problem, you know. The problem lies on our own mechanism, you know. We are making ourselves confusion about this, I think. Okay, Puskarji. Hello?
Thank you. Thank you, Bijayji. I think that that explains, that sort of elaborates the question that we had. So if nobody has questions, then I would like to move forward with closing. Is that okay? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so thank you, Bijayji, for your explanation. I think that sort of clears our question, CIUD's question, in terms of traditional settlement weaknesses in terms of construction. Then I would like to move forward with closing. Is that okay?
Yes, Professor, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bijaya Krishna Shrestha, for your valuable input and your great presentation. I think we have learned a lot today in terms of the weaknesses in terms of reconstruction process in urban areas, and also some of the processes and the systems that other organizations have used, and also your analysis. We've learned a lot, and we would like to thank you for your time and for your effort in terms of enlightening us in Urban Dabali webinar. And as I said earlier, we do this every year, and for next month we will again publish it and also share the next event. Thank you, Enren, for your effort to put this together, and thank you other partners, ENFO, Lumanti, UMS, Enren again, and UN Habitat, Institute of Engineering, Nepal Engineers Associations, and other partners, if I have forgotten to mention anybody, so apologies for that. Thank you, Bijayji, again for your great presentation, and with that, then I would like to close this. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.